G'day there guys, I want to say you look damn fine today, and you've always looked damn fine every single day of your life. Back at it again with another episode of r/Am I the A-hole. Now if you love the content like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, a like on the video, and get ready for some bloody good content. Posted by user, Am I the A-hole unique name? Titled, Am I the A-hole for wanting my son to have a unique name? I'm 8.5 months pregnant with my baby number 2. Baby 1 Dante was born in 2013 at 31 weeks, and we sadly lost him within a few days. Getting pregnant again has been incredibly difficult from both an emotional and medical standpoint. I was so scared to lose another baby that for years I refused to even try, and once we did, it took 2 years and a lot of medication. My second son is due towards the end of June, and my husband seems set on calling him first name Dante, last name, in memory of our first child. I told him no, I'm not comfortable with that, and I want him to have his own name where he won't feel like he's having to grow up as a replacement. Husband has threatened to walk out more than once over this, since it's always been his dream to have a son called Dante, and he feels like he never got that. We also have an adopted daughter called Danielle, and I don't want their names to be so similar. Am I the a-hole for refusing to budge on this? Edit. If we give our son the middle name Dante, that is what my husband wants to refer to him as, so it'd basically be his first name. I can see you're clearly very uncomfortable with this, and given the circumstances, OP, I don't blame you for refusing to budge on this. It would be a very uncomfortable thing to constantly be reminded of that, and your husband being so unwilling to accept that is a bit of a yikes from me, dog. I'd say you wouldn't be the a-hole for refusing to budge on this, and I don't blame you for it. No a-holes here. This is a sensitive situation, and I am so sorry for your loss. I don't have much advice because I can see the value of both sides. This baby is never going to replace Dante, but it is clear that your partner sees this as a way to keep that child present. I don't criticize the idea. It used to be traditional that subsequent children carried the name of the lost child. I understand wanting this child to not feel any pressure about the idea of being a replacement. However, regardless of the name, that will be how you raise and treat the baby. Not the a-hole, your husband is using incredibly flawed logic and digging in his heels. Of course, you can't name the baby the same as his deceased brother. That would be incredibly cruel. Not the a-hole. That's a great way to make your child feel like he's nothing more than a replacement for your dead child. Your husband needs therapy, in my opinion. He already has a son named Dante. Yes, he did not live long, but he still existed. Naming the new baby, in my opinion, erases the other baby, and that is not fudging cool. Am I the a-hole for wanting my son to have a unique name? Update. My son was born on June 22nd at a healthy 7 pounds 13 ounces. My husband admitted that he was trying to make our new son into Dante. He also said that he was very scared, and it's not that he wanted to divorce me so much as escape the situation he was in. He decided he wanted some time away, so took our daughter to camp on his parents' property for a weekend, and came back feeling much better and ready for our son and whatever the world would throw at us. We decided to name our son Taylor, so that together Danielle and Taylor may carry the legacy of our lost son. Thank you everyone that offered support and advice. I just wanted to say how strong you are as a person. I've never had any kids, but I can't imagine how hard it was for you to have him go away for the weekend just after your new baby was born. It sounds like it was definitely the best thing for you and your family though. Stay strong and keep kicking ass. He went away last weekend. I went into labor and gave birth Monday. It was actually quite nice having a weekend to myself before the baby came. He left me with enough frozen meals to feed a small army, and I spent the weekend in pajamas, catching up on TV I've missed. I even managed to have some friends over in the garden for a mini baby shower and a name reveal party. I was initially thinking the same, that he took off leaving you with a newborn, even if he did take your daughter with him. But now it seems it was before baby, and it sounds like it worked out well. I would have loved for my husband to take our oldest away for the weekend before I had my second, and get my last alone time for a long time. Glad you enjoyed it. Dante, like Devil May Cry? Yep, Devil May Cry was the first game my husband ever played, and the name stuck with him. Surprised he didn't want to name his son Virgil. He did suggest it, but I vetoed it as I had an Uncle Virgil who was a bit... Is Taylor a unisex name? Yes, it is. Another commenter said it started out as a male name after the job tailor, and in the 1900s, it started being used for girls. I've always preferred it as a boy's name though, and I think it's more common as a boy's name where we're from. My grandparents had a boy called Joseph, nicknamed him Joe. He died of leukemia. My grandma got pregnant and nicknamed the child Joe. After a couple years, they decided to literally get rid of him because it was so painful to see him and remembering little Joe. So he was sent to live with his grandma. You can't imagine the trauma of lost identity the former child carried until his death last year. It is good that your son has a different name. He will have a whole new identity for himself. Posted by user Cactus Lover Forever, titled, Would I be the a-hole for planting prickly bushes in my front yard to keep the neighbor's kids from my property? Throw away for obvious reasons. I moved into a detached townhouse a few months ago. It's a rental. I'm leasing it for a year with the option to extend that within a second year or possibly buy the house. My driveway is right next to the neighbor's. It's big enough to fit 2 regular-sized cars, and halfway down my driveway, there's a path leading around my house. On one side of the path is my house, on the other side, about 3 meters of the yard, is mine. Ever since I moved in, I've been having issues with the neighbors using my driveway for parking, turning their cars, storing their other stuff, playing, etc., etc. Asking them to stop using it and keep their items on their own property has not worked. So I placed a few large plants, installed a camera and a no trespassing sign, and that helped a bit. At least the cars are gone. The last few weeks with the stay-home advice, I've been working from home, but the neighbors' kids are making that really hard. They're about 5 and 7, boys, and they keep ringing my doorbell multiple times a day to ask if they can play with my dog, if I want to play with them, or anything else they can think of. I ask them to stop it so I can work, which of course didn't work. So I asked their parents, and was told boys will be boys, and they weren't going to do anything about it. Sad face. To keep my sanity intact, I removed the battery from the doorbell, but now they keep running around in my front yard, on the path around the house, banging on my windows, banging on my doors, and actually tried to open the gate to my backyard this morning as they heard me in there. I once again asked them to stop, told them I will not be allowing them to play with the dog anymore at all if they keep this up, and they left, sending over their dad. I told him to keep the boys away from my property and door. If not, I'll be planting some prickly bushes to teach them to stay away from other people's property and shut the door in his face. Would I be the a-hole if I actually did that? I'd love to place a fence or something, but as it may be a short-term rental, I have to be able to return everything in its original state for now. Edit. I'm getting a lot of comments about social distancing and lack of isolation of the boys. I'm from the European Union, my country isn't on lockdown, and it's, or was, I'm not 100% sure anymore, advised to let small children play outside. I'd say you wouldn't be the a-hole if you installed prickly bushes like that. I can see where people would think, man, that's a bit messed up, you're intentionally trying to harm the kids. I'm sure the kids aren't going to go face planting their faces into prickly bushes. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. I think they're just going to avoid them. It's like, ow, I touched a hot surface. I'm going to keep away from that now. So I don't think OP is the a-hole for doing that, especially given the current climate of the world. Not the a-hole. Their parents are lazy and sound like they just want to make you a free babysitter. Boys will be boys? Shake my damn head. I would straight up go and ring the parents' doorbell once every 30 minutes or so for an entire day. What do you want? Oh, I just wanted to say hi. And then walk away. Repeat over and over again until the parents get fed up. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it annoying to have your doorbell rung all day long? I would take a sick day just to commit. And knock on the windows and doors when they stop answering. Then run around their property, yelling and knocking on the sides. When the police come, you can tell them you thought it was a friendship ritual since they let their kids do it to you every day, all day long. You were just reciprocating with the best of intention. Not the a-hole. These parents are jerks. Be petty and install a motion sensor that sets off a sprinkler system. I'd love to, but I've been turning part of my driveway and front yard into a vegetable garden, meaning I'll be there quite often for the next few months, and don't want to get soaking wet myself every single time. Aren't there motion sensors you could enable and disable through an app or with a remote? Probably, but I'm 100% certain that within 1 week, I'd either misplace the remote, do something to kill the app, or something else to sabotage myself. How about a super soaker? Or water balloons? Every time they come over, soak 'em. Considering they're running around with water guns right now, spraying everyone that passes, it'd probably turn into more visits asking me to join them. Updates. Would I be the a-hole for planting prickly bushes in my front yard to keep the neighbors' kids from my property? About a week after my post, I planted a wall of blackberries and raspberries at the 2 sides of my garden facing the driveway, about 30 centimeters from the edge, so no overhanging branches. On the other side of the berry wall, I planted lots of stuff like strawberries and tomatoes. To reach the tomatoes and strawberries from the driveway, you either go through the fruit bushes or walk up to my house, walk about 2 meters along the side of the house into my windows, and then walk into my actual garden. Not something you do by mistake. For about 2 weeks, it was somewhat quiet, but I still found the kids on my driveway every single day. As far as I know, they did not enter the garden, and I hadn't noticed them walking around my house anymore, so I figured the bushes were working. About 1 week ago, berry season started, and my bushes are now full of raspberries, and there's lots of strawberries as well. The neighbors noticed. First, I caught the boys picking and eating raspberries, so I told them off and dropped them off at home. Told their mum I caught them stealing, that's how I see it even though it's fruit, and that I'd call the cops next time. She huffed and told me to grow up, but took the boys inside anyway. After that, it was quiet up until yesterday afternoon, when I went out for a while and found the dad and his 2 sons right in the middle of my garden when I returned, clearing my bushes and plants. I didn't even confront them, just called the cops from a distance as they hadn't noticed me yet, and started filming them after making the call. Luckily, 2 cops showed up after 10 minutes or so, and they confronted the neighbors as they were still picking berries. They told them they were trespassing and that the berry picking was in fact considered stealing and that I could press charges. For the first time, I noticed a bit of fear in my neighbor. He was having trouble finding his words and kept looking back at his house, I guess hoping his wife would show up to yell at the cops. They all went inside with the cops, so I just went home as well. After a while, the cops came by and asked me if I wanted to press charges. I asked them if they felt like they scared the neighbors enough to stay away. I got a small smile and yes about him, but the wife had just kept shouting at them and her husband about the little tramp living next door. I told them no for now, asked them if I'd be allowed to get an extra camera set up on the wall between my garden and the road to cover the entire front garden plus driveway. They said that's allowed as long as it's on my side of the wall. So now I'm getting an extra camera installed. One neighbor knows I'm done messing around, but his wife isn't there yet. And if I ever catch any of them again, the cops will be called and possible charges to follow. Alright, and our next post, we've already covered this one, so I'm just going to read the initial post, and I'll read the comments on the second update post. Posted by user Cupcake from Hell 11, titled, "Am I the a-hole for reporting my teacher over a very uncomfortable joke? I, female 20, have been in a bakery course since September, and every Wednesday we have an 8-hour hands-on class. The teacher, 50 male, is a very friendly man, but his sense of humor is kind of on the edge of acceptable. He'd been making sex jokes about me and some other girls in my class all year, but they were still kind of funny. Last week, he called me from the other side of the room, saying his friend sent him a video and it made him think of me as a joke. I approached him and he gets the video out. Everyone else was busy doing their thing. He showed me the video and skips through it. It was a lesbian orgy porn. I got super uncomfortable and froze. I couldn't do anything but chuckle in shock, so I laughed it off, didn't say anything about it, and went back to what I was doing. I know I should have said something then, but I just couldn't. It's been making me lose sleep since last week. I feel grossed out, objectified, and my self-worth has plummeted. So today I decided to call someone at school who I trust. I told her what happened and that I wanted to arrange a meeting with witnesses where I tell him that he crossed a boundary, but she said she wanted to tell his boss and get an investigation started. Now he's going to get in trouble because of me, even though I wanted to give him a warning first. Am I the a-hole for reporting my teacher over a joke? Edit, I thought I'd post this because I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out the things I was feeling. Never in my wildest dreams had I expected this much of a response. Thank you for all your thoughts, upvotes, and the awards. I've gathered some useful information, and I feel better knowing that people support me, even though they're strangers on the internet. Thanks, guys. And yeah, the verdict for this one was OP is not the a-hole. He absolutely stepped many boundaries, and I think that an investigation does need to be started. Update: am I the a-hole for reporting my teacher over a very uncomfortable joke? I'm sorry for the late update, I was busy with work. We are now a few weeks after I reported him. Last week I had my first class with the teacher. I have to do an exam about chocolate for him now. School did jack crap. They talked to him once, and he's acting like he didn't do anything wrong. He won't talk to me. He's bitter towards people that stand with me. At least I only have 2 more classes, and then my end examination. I feel like crap. I don't know what will happen to my grades, and the grades from the day he showed me the video have yet to be posted online, so I have no idea whether he is grading objectively or not. Thanks for all your advice on my post a few weeks ago. It really helped me through all this crap. What he did wasn't a joke, doesn't matter if he knows this himself or not. It was not okay. I know this now, and I take confidence out of that fact. Anyways, I'm off to make some praline chocolates. Thanks again, people of Reddit. Love you. I'm so sorry the school did nothing and that you have to deal with this. Unfortunately, I'm also not surprised. Any chance you'd put up a public post about the school? Seems like it's the only way to get anything done about this sort of behavior. Plus, I know I wouldn't want to sign up for a class with someone like that. Best of luck with your exams. I kind of understand the reasoning. It's only a couple more classes, and bringing in another teacher at this point might make things difficult for my classmates, so I'm not going to make any more of a fuss about it. But next year, I'm definitely going to another school to follow a chocolate and ice cream making course. Is your school included on any of those Rate My Teacher type websites? Potential future students would be interested in your experience, and you may save someone else from going through what you are currently. I had a similar experience with a mixology teacher, and I never went back for a few add-on classes I'd paid for because of it. If I'd known the teacher was a creep beforehand, I would have chosen a different school. Unfortunately not. It's not really a thing here where I live. That really sucks. Good for you for standing up for yourself, and don't let this experience stop you from continuing to do so in the future. Unfortunately, the culinary industry still has a lot of toxic masculinity fueling it, so this likely won't be the last time you encounter a creep. Next time, call him out very loudly in front of everyone and publicly shame their behavior. That's what worked for the female chefs and bakers I've worked with. Don't take that crap, run that crap. Would your parents be of any help? The school's hoping you'll just let it slide, but if your parents hear about it and start in on them, it'll be way harder for them to ignore. I totally get wanting to get past it, but if nothing happens, I doubt you'll be the last girl he does this to. The nuclear route is posting it on their Facebook page or some kind of public forum, but I definitely get not wanting to do that. Too bad my parents can't do anything about it since I'm an adult, but I'm definitely going to file another complaint with the principal himself after I've graduated. For now, I just want to get through my exams and get my degree so I can go do something else. I'm a professor. What you need to do is find out who the school's Title IX coordinator is and file an official Title IX complaint. If you want to contact me privately to give me the name of the school, I'd be happy to help you figure out who the Title IX coordinator is. You're being retaliated against for reporting sexual harassment, and the school is failing to meet their obligations. None of this is remotely okay. Posted by user Close Cousins, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I think it's wrong to make our 13-year-old hang out with her same-aged cousin? So my wife has 2 sisters and is close to both. Their mum died when they were young, so they bonded over the loss and became very close. We have 2 kids, Chris, 16 male, and Kaylee, 13 female. My wife's older sister also has 2 kids, Owen 17 male and Emma 16 female. They live about 5 minutes from us and our kids attend the same school. They've always hung out as a group of 3. My Chris and their Emma are a week apart in age, and Owen is only a little over a year older, so they grew up together and used to call themselves triplets. They're still quite close. My wife's younger sister has a daughter, Gia, who is 3 months older than mine. The younger sister always made comments when our girls were babies about how she can't wait until they're the ages of the big kids, meaning Chris, Owen, and Emma, because they'll be just as close. The problem is that Haley doesn't like hanging out with Gia, and it's becoming more obvious as they get older that they are 2 different people. Kaylee likes soccer and video games. Gia isn't allowed to play video games and isn't interested in sports. Kaylee is a social butterfly, and Gia is a homebody. All of this was manageable, but Gia also has some more immature interest. She still enjoys playing with dolls and engages in pretend play. For example, when Kaylee goes over to their house to sleep over, she says Gia likes playing school or mummies. Playing school means they set up all of the different stuffed animals and pretend to teach them. Mummies is when they play with the baby dolls and pretend to be mummies. I have nothing against pretend play, and I think it's nice that Gia doesn't feel pressured to grow up too fast, but it's clear that Kaylee and her are on different wavelengths. Now that things are opening back up, Gia's mum said she can't wait to have Kaylee over. Kaylee said she doesn't want to sleep over at Gia's. She said she'll still interact with Gia at family events, but doesn't want to sleep over there anymore or go over to play. This upset my wife a lot. She said Kaylee doesn't get a say. Later that night, I told my wife I sided with Kaylee. I don't think she should be forced to hang out with Gia. My wife flipped and said that I'm an only child, so I will never understand her family values and how this isn't up for discussion. I told her that wasn't fair. Kaylee should get a say, and she said that you don't get a say when it comes to family. We argued for a while before I told her that we would be having this discussion later, and she didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. Was I the a-hole? I haven't brought it up again, but plan to unless I am totally in the wrong. Edit. I thought I made this clear, but we'll say it again because of the comments I am getting. Kaylee is not interested in hanging out with Gia other than for full family events. For example, we normally have dinner with my wife's sister and dad every Sunday. Kaylee is fine with hanging out with Gia then, but doesn't want to beyond that. Additional info. Other than her immature interest, Gia is a normal 13-year-old girl. Edit. Gia does cry when she doesn't get her way, and that's another reason Kaylee is no longer enjoying playing with her cousin. I wouldn't say it's a tantrum behavior. Her mum and my wife think it's just hormones and normal, but she locks herself in the bathroom until she pulls herself together. I should have mentioned that earlier, but my wife and her sisters think it's normal teen girl stuff. Edit. Sorry for so many edits. Just trying to paint a clearer picture. Last summer, Gia and Kaylee hung out about 4 to 5 days a week. Now, this was normal for Chris, Emma, and Owen when they were 12 and 13. I would say they were over more often than that, and had sleepovers most nights. They have a lot of the same friends, since they go to the same school, and play some of the same sports. My wife and younger sister are trying to recreate this with Kaylee and Gia, but Kaylee doesn't want it. Again, she is okay with the weekly dinners, but doesn't want the one-on-one play dates and sleepovers with Gia. I'm getting a lot of heat over the word immature. All I meant by that is Kaylee, who stopped playing mummies a long time ago, sees it as immature. If Kaylee suggests another game, then Gia cries and locks herself in the bathroom. To me, that is childlike behavior, but I do not think any less of Gia because of this. I do not dislike her. I love her like she is my own blood. I am very sorry for hurting people with the use of the word immature. I'm going to go with you're not the a-hole for not forcing Kaylee to interact with someone she doesn't want to interact with. You've made that very clear, and you spelt it out in more detail than necessary, I feel like, but it is very good that you brought all of these details up, and I don't blame you for that at all, OP. I don't think that you're the a-hole in this situation, but I do understand why other people would think you are. I don't think it's right, though. Not the a-hole. Your wife is controlling. Kaylee is 13 and old enough to realize what interests her. They may become friends as they get older, but forcing it is awkward and will never work. Gia will grow up in time. If OP's wife and sister manage not to completely torch the relationship between the two girls now, they will have room to grow closer as they age. My siblings and I basically hated each other until we were all adults. My mother always held fast that we were family, we will be there for each other forever, but never forced us into interacting or anything we didn't want. Now we all live in different parts of the country, but love each other dearly and visit often. Opie's wife can teach Kaylee that Gia will be a lifelong sister to her, someone she can count on to always be there for her without forcing her to sleep over or even be particularly close with her during their teen years. Grandma always said that family has each other's back, but we don't have to be best friends. Mine always said, they're your family, you love them, yes, but you're not obligated to like them. Yup, my mom always said, family isn't the journey, it's the starting point and destination and all the stops in between. Anybody can hop in and out of the car whenever they liked. We were all heading to the same place. So, it's a bit grim if you put it like that. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I don't think it is right to force our daughter to hang out with her same-aged cousin? Update. I talked to my wife about everything, and she agreed she overreacted. She said that after her mum died, she felt like it was her job to hold the family together. She is the middle child, so she felt like she was the link between her two sisters. Their dad stressed to them how much they needed to stick together, and that is where the weekly family dinners started. It was a way to bring everyone together. When my wife got pregnant with our son Chris, at the same time her older sister got pregnant with her daughter Emma, my wife said it felt like fate, especially since her older sister's son Owen would only be a little more than a year old than both kids. My wife said watching all three of them bond like they did made her proud, because she knew it is what her mum would want. Even now the kids are close. My son slept over their house last night. They play some school sports together, have classes together, share some friends, and sit at the same lunch table. When we found out we were having Kaylee only a few months after Gia was born, my wife and her sister imagined the girls growing up together the same way the older three did. For a while, they did, but now they are growing apart. It has been hard on both my wife and her younger sister. When the older three were in middle school, they hung out every day in the summer, but that was by choice and usually with a larger common friend group. I explained to my wife that this is different because we would be forcing Kaylee to miss out on time with her friends to spend with her cousin multiple times a week, even though they have virtually nothing in common. My wife apologized to Kaylee and talked to her sister about giving the girls some time apart. We will still see them once a week for Sunday dinners, but we aren't going to force it. My wife's sister was upset because Kaylee is Gia's only friend, but said she will just have to spend more time with Gia to make her feel special. My wife and I feel bad, but we want to make sure our daughter knows that she has the right to say no and have that be respected if she isn't comfortable with the situation, even when it's family. I'm glad your wife has come around. It's important to show your daughter her wants are important as well. Hearing your wife say she doesn't get a say in your original post made me so angry. Based on your original post and what you've written here, it sounds like Gia's mum babies her way too much, and I'm guessing indulges her tantrums and gives in to her. That could be why she doesn't have any friends. Not your problem to deal with, and I'd recommend not saying it to your sister-in-law. Yeah, we feel that Gia is being babied. Whenever Kaylee goes over there and suggests playing something other than dolls, Gia cries, locks herself in the bathroom, and my sister-in-law ends up telling Kaylee to just go along with it to stop Gia from being upset. Yeah, that doesn't sound healthy at all. No wonder why Kaylee doesn't want to hang out with her. If Gia doesn't learn to grow up on multiple levels, she is going to have even bigger problems. Gia's parents are doing her a great disservice and need to parent properly. How will Gia face the world when she doesn't know how to make friends, doesn't take no for an answer, and cries, screams, and locks herself away whenever there is a problem? Are you sure she isn't on the spectrum? I have no clue if she is on the spectrum or not. I don't think she has ever been tested. My daughter exhibits some of Gia's behaviors as well. She has severe anxiety disorder, and that creates a lot of stress for her. There may be bigger explanations behind Gia's behavior, other than she's spoiled. I doubt she wants to be so upset or without friends. A hidden issue makes more sense. Alright, I think that's where I end today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a good day, night sleep. Whatever you're up to, say hi to Outro Markee for me. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one today. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would love you to subscribe because I love your face and I love seeing you here every single day that you are here in this video. I don't know what else to say today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. I do have a second channel that's called Markee2. Link should be up on the screen somewhere here if you don't have adblock installed. If you don't know where to find the channel, you can go to my main page. Just click on the Markee face and it should be on the right, somewhere there, or on channels if you're on phone. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.